Sometimes when a person either loses an arm through an accident or is born without a limb, they may experience the sensation as if the limb was still attached. So if my arm were to be amputated, I might still feel like my arm was still attached, and I might feel like I'm able to move it, and this phenomenon we call a phantom limb. Now there are a few different possible explanations for this phenomenon of the phantom limb. The first is what we call remapping in the brain. Now there are different regions of the brain that regulate different body parts. You can see a map of this here with the left lobe and the right lobe of the brain, with every part of the brain it regulates. And as we can see, some of these regions are quite close to each other. And it's believed that if the arm is amputated, then these regions that correspond with the different fingers and the region that corresponds with the rest of the hand will no longer be active. They will no longer receive any input and will therefore get taken over by the region adjacent, which is the region of the face. And they will start processing the information that is sent to this region. So this might explain, an example of this would be a man named Tom. He lost his arm in an accident, and whenever he would put a cube of ice on his face, his phantom arm would start to feel cold, because the sensation of cold that was sent towards the face was also processed by the regions corresponding to the hand. Now this theory of remapping can explain why some people experience a phantom limb, but it does not explain the experience of a phantom pain. And phantom pain is pain, often excruciating pain, felt in the phantom limb. And if you go back to the example of Tom, he could feel pain in his arm and in his hand, in his phantom arm and his phantom hand, without feeling pain in his cheek or in his face, which meant that this pain cannot be explained through the process of remapping. Now the theory here is that whenever I tense my muscle, my brain sends a signal to my arm, telling my arm to tense up my muscle and make a fist. And the same happens in Tom, but if I tense too much, my arm sends a signal back to my brain saying that's enough. If you go any further, if you tense your muscle any further, you might damage your muscle, or your nails will be digging into your hand, causing your skin to break. But Tom doesn't have an arm that can send back the signal saying it's enough. So his brain keeps sending the signal, and his phantom arm keeps flexing and tensing more and more and more and more and more, which results in phantom pain. Most patients with a phantom limb are able to move their phantom limb, but some patients cannot. Their phantom is stuck in a position, and often a very uncomfortable one. This is because before they lost their limb was paralyzed and they were unable to move it. Therefore, whenever their brain would send a motor signal to move a finger, the arm would not respond, and the brain learns that the arm does not move. Therefore, when a person experiences a phantom, the brain doesn't bother sending the signal to the arm because it knows that the phantom will not move, because that's what it's used to. Now this can be unlearned using the mirror box. In this mirror box, the patient that has a paralyzed phantom puts their phantom behind a mirror and puts their real physical arm on the other side of the mirror. So now whenever they move this arm, it appears as if there is a second arm that at the place where the patient would experience the non-moving phantom. And whenever they would move this arm, it would appear as if the phantom arm would move as well. And this gives patients the movement in their phantom limb back. The mirror box has also been used on patients who don't experience a phantom arm because they still have their physical arm, which is paralyzed. And it's found that these people sometimes are able to move their paralyzed arm by using the mirror box, because a part of the paralysis is not physical in the arm, it's imaginary, because the brain is used to the arm not moving. Now this also shows that this knowledge about phantom limbs can also be applied outside the field of phantom limbs, because the best way to study the workings of the brain is by seeing what happens if something goes wrong.